Well, good morning, shalom, actually Shabbat shalom. This morning is in the Parsha, if you happen to be following along, it's Zedvaha, and it means you shall command. And these are some very strong images, some of the most incredible pictographic in actuality, because now they're going to actually do this, Aaron, the anointing of the high priest, the making of the olive oil, the incense, some of the most incredible, all the garb that the high priest wears, the initiation of the time when of Aaron for 7 days with his sons into this whole order, this priestly order that's just emerged now. So there's a lot of imagery and archetypes. But again, I like to pin it on the tree of life because ultimately I believe that there is an exegesis, a way of totally taking any parabolic language and putting it on the tree of life and getting a correct imagery, understanding it on a deeper level, a spiritual level. And so that's what I want to do today, because again, you can go on, Google, everything is there. Every type of, all the pictures of, let's just say, the priestly garment, from the turban to the plate that's on his headdress, to the ephod, to the apron, to, I hear there's even some articles, some of the great sages like Nachmanides and Rashi would argue about the order of the pomegranates and on the hem. I mean, there's can be, if you want to get it right, I suppose there is a level that you can go to. But for intents and purposes, we want to stay a little big picture, pinning it on the tree of life. But so before I go there, I want to say I am very much immersed on the paid subscription channel, theelectlife.org, or on Linktree, The Elect Life. And I have a paid channel where I'm giving a lot of meat on things, and I'm doing the whole Hebrew alphabet. I've done the first decade, the first 10, up until Yod, from Aleph to Yod, and I Kaf and Lamed, and I've also the 12 up to Lamed, which is right smack dab in the middle. But I think it's a great series. So if you really want to have some depth to really understand this is what the word is. It is living intelligences that have gone forth the DNA of creation. And this is the deeper understanding that Judah has been keeping in the house for us all these thousands, really, of years. But let's take the olive oil. But so what I want to do is, okay, when you understand the tree of life is the same thing in a very high complex pictographic yet very empirically scientific way of graphing the universe and all the knowledge that we can have on all different levels of all the dimensions and all the living entities, the living souls that are there. So it is a lot of physics, metaphysics. There's a lot of spiritual things that are going on that we can't see, that we have to have some way of describing. And lo and behold, the more I get into understanding the graphics of quantum physics, what they're showing us today, the models, and what the Zohar has always said, and what is being painted in the tree of life, how this relationship works, this 32 paths of wisdom, just 10 separate and 22 letters. Understand, this is what we're talking about, a system of keeping the letters and those, there's something like 300, this is just a fact people should have, because in the Parsha, the Torah, the 5 books of Moshe that we do every week, there's something, and I might not have it perfect, but it's 304, let's say 8,056 letters. I'm very close, okay, in the Torah. All right, that's really a system. What we're talking about is a system to keep every single letter in its place recorded for all generations. That's kind of a tall order, but yet I think we're going to find out, and we are finding out, that Judah did a good job of that. But this depiction of this is like at the quantum level, how energy, see, so now we know there's movement, there is something going on in this vast space that we have out there. There's something very specific going on in this quantum world. Energy is being moved around It's transforming, shape-shifting, and it's moving information, particles and waves, light and sound. There's all this stuff going on, okay? Well, that did not escape. That's already embedded in the letters. That's already thought through. They have a place for everything. It's more exciting when you see the class like in the letter Kaf, the upper foundation, the lower foundation, everything, the Dagesh in the middle, what it represents. Everything is very specific. So, but what I want to say is, see these, this is energy flow. And this is talking about in the Tree of Life language. You know, we have Bina up here, which is the divine, the energy flow that receives. It's a receiver, okay? The energy that's coming out of this whole other side. You know, we got a pillar, it's got two sides to it. There's a left side, there's a right side, there's a middle pillar, there's structure, and there's energy flow around it, okay? And it's already documented. It's nothing new under the sun, all right? This is, they understood this, but we call from Bina to Zeron Pin. So what I wanted to get to was the oil. I'll bring it back to the temple, because as above, so below. They were drawing energy. It's a spiritual technology. They were connecting themselves to an energy grid, to a way of a relationship, okay, of supernal, supranatural energy. So this is called Zeron Pin, which is in Revelation, talks about the 7 golden lampstands, the 7 angels, the 7 lamps. This is all imagery. Same, just different words for exact same concept on the Tree of Life. This thing, these 7 circles and their letters in this whole relation called Zeron Pin. Just take my word for it. Read the books, they're very dense, but that's what you'll come away with, okay? But it works on a subatomic level. It works as you look at the stars in the orbits. It never breaks its initial typology. It's amazing. You can use it on every single level that you're kind of looking. But this energy flow, these angels, see, I understand this is what it's the transfer of energy. Angels transfer energy from Zeron Pin to Malkut. It says, and these are called the holy wheels. This is what Ezekiel saw. This is what Ezekiel saw going on in the heavens, so to speak. Like if you did take the veil away and you really saw the electromagnetic transfer of energy and data and all the angels, if you really saw it, okay, an electromagnetic living color, okay, and we will see it. Because that's what the Akashic Records is, which it's even a smaller understanding than is in the Tree of Life. There is a system, a supercomputer, superconductor, super motherboard, in which the Elohim has been recording everything, past, present, and future. Every option is already there, and then if you're moving through time, every action has been recorded in everything of the past, everything in the present, everything in the future. It's really incredible. So it is all there. And the Torah is telling us is what it says, because these letters, okay, I keep pointing out to it now, I'm home, so to speak, in my, it's the letters. This is the last frontier, and it's not hard to master a Hebraic understanding of the 22 letters, okay, on a mystical, spiritual level. But these are like the nails they saw in a lot of the writings of the sages. They have beautiful imagery of it. This is the nails, the crossbeams, the lumber. It contains the blueprints, plus the labor force, the overseers and the workers to create and to maintain this vast network. It's a neural network, and it encompasses everything, yet each of us individually is a little microcosm. It's amazing. So this is a very accurate depiction of what these letters are doing on even a microcosmic to a macrocosmic, even on our cells, in our cells, and in our cells. Seriously. So the other thing that when you make the oil, I wanted to say this is oil, which represents, again, it's got to be pure. This is purity and holiness. No sediment, no lingering peptides. I don't know what would be in it that would be foreign. It's pure, crushed, and they say, but individually, like by each olive almost individually crushed. That's pretty crazy. To just make sure that just the pure oil is coming out. So there's a lot of care. It's a cultivated. See, one of the things we have to understand is olive trees, which I believe we are in terms of, so it's the highest level, that understanding, that light, that where you use that light, okay? So this olive oil is going to get transferred through a process and become actual light, fire, or ignited light, right? Okay, so in that process, it has to be very pure. We want to transfer true spiritual understanding from the other realms here, all right? We don't want to see it through a mixture or anything foreign. So, and the same thing with the incense, a very, very pure formula of 12. And again, there's some real deep understanding in the incense. These are blends to a certain extent. The olive oil, there were other perfumes, there were other things that went into it to give it that smell. I hear that the incense, I've said this before, in the temple used to rise up, huge amount into the sky. I mean, I want to say a mile, that's like way too much, probably 600 feet. It would just go straight up, and that you could smell it for like 100 miles around Jerusalem. So when you began to smell the fragrance of coming from the temple, that's how much they would burn all the time. It has to be perpetually lighted, and the incense perpetually lighted, because the sweet smelling fragrance, all these things. So this is because Yahweh is constantly faithful to us like that, right? He's always giving us the sunlight, the air to breathe, the water to drink, everything that we need, sustaining. The earth is constantly going through its cycles of provision. So these things are all on many levels embedded. And so what I was doing once I was looking at this and understanding, it is talking strictly about energy flow, just like they would do today. Each one of these, and I've gone through some of these, make incredibly sophisticated systems. And that's what I want to say real quick here. Let me put this here. I'm going to make some charts of these. This is sort of where I'm going. You can't see that. You can't see that. Well, what I'm listing here is, and you can just Google it, the 12, like up to 10 systems in our body. So if we start with, well, it first starts with the structure of how matter builds up. It's precept upon precept. This is the other thing. It's world upon world, whether from the top down or the bottom up. It's layer upon layer, garment upon garment. And that's what the high priest was doing when he was robing himself. He was clothing himself in a very systematic way. On his head, he was putting this turban. And when you anointed oil, so the anointing oil, not only for the menorah, this is what I was going to say. Sorry. Too much information. I just wanted to do a quick little, but in the menorah, remember, it's a middle candle, and then it has the 6. Okay, so you have a total of 7. All right, it's very important. Oh, you can't see that, but you know what a menorah looks like. The 7 branched, all right, which comes back to our 7 circles, and they would have a little knob with the oil on the top of the 7. This is oil. This is all coming from the spiritual. This is where God is filling us. This light has deep well springs, all right, from the supernal worlds, and it does all relate to the body, and it's very deep and complex, but there is something very real going on, that these are representing portals and ways in which, and it represents the systems. Okay, so there's 7, but things start out like an atom, like we were showing you before, the patterns. Okay, see, I'm going to get better at my technology. I'm going to learn how to do PowerPoint. That's next. But atoms to molecules to macromolecules to organelles to cells to tissues to organ systems to organisms. There's a very, very precise buildup, layer upon layer, DNA upon DNA. It's sort of unfurling. It's just like code, writing it out and unfurling it as it goes. But, and then if you contrast that with, again, in the body, we have all these systems that are built and layered one on top of the other, and are just kind of dovetailing and all working together and working around each other. It's incredibly complex, condensed. It's like 304,000, letters all condensed into 5 books. Yet each one is a container of incredible spiritual energy, and has to stay in this order. And and there's an incredible how the math, and there's just incredible relationships numerically. But I'm just trying to really say that there is such a connection, way more than a Bible story. Okay, we got to remember this. This is deep stuff. This is going to answer the deepest questions about the universe and the true reality, the true reality of the universe. Okay, yes, God is real, and he does have a very real system out there. And it's called the Book of Life, and he is recording everything. You got the Book of the Dead, everything, all information is stored very neatly, and this is flower, it's going to be, but we can understand that. Look at how quickly today we retrieve information. It's just, it's mind-boggling. Now imagine on the scale of God, and you've got billions of people over, and who knows if there's more, I'm just saying. Let's just stick with what we know in the time frame that we're dealing with, right? But I think that it's exciting to see the Torah relating beyond a Bible story and even the imagery of the high priest, because now that has become us. All right. And our bodies being now temples, and what is going on right now, and why this is so serious, why we need to make that hyperleap jump in our minds from, a Bible story, which is great, to actual physical reality, what is going on, because they have breached now. This is where the level of the city walls. Okay. There's a lot, when you get into the battle, especially in the ancients, when the city walls were breached, and this would happen in Jerusalem, and twice, this is the point, it was pretty much game over. Okay, if you can protect your outer cell walls, you're fine. And that relates to us because we're a microcosm. Make no mistake, on every level, this stuff is true. So they have breached, I think, with this whole new level of vaccines, everyone understands with what is going on in a lot of the pharmaceutical world. This is the new battleground. I think in a lot of ways, it's more serious than it has ever been before, and it's totally so under a narrative that is so deceitful. It's unbelievable, unbelievable how deceitful. I probably should have ended with all that. I hope it doesn't get flagged too bad, but I think you kind of get the gist. But in the meantime, we do have a place, and the tree of life it's a tree of life. And for those who find it. And I believe that in this time of transition, it's going to help us, first of all, answer so many questions, elevate our understanding, of what is in our text, what can we know for certainty about prior times, ancient past, a lot of these things, because it actually is contained in the writings. So on that note, again, Shabbat Shalom, and I will see you in the next video.